Our nation's sports show. Tonight, we break down all of the latest breaking news in the world of sports as the money just keeps a-flowing across the NFL and the NBA. Tonight, we break down all the latest contract signings and so much more. Our nation's sports show is next.
Good up to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back to our regularly scheduled programming, talking about the world of sports and maybe a little bit of wrestling, because so much wrestling went on this past weekend. And also, for those that do not know, this past weekend I recorded a special music edition of the sports show, talking about the Creed concert, talking about the Back to the Beginning show. And if you have not checked that out, please check it out whenever you get a chance. I am your host for this evening, riding solo for now, Stephen Wyand. What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in tonight as we are back to regular scheduled programming, talking about the world of sports, and we are inching, yes, so close to breaking down and previewing the 2025-26 NFL season. Because for those that do not know, August the 5th is the first episode where we turn and switch gears to pretty much from here on out to Super Bowl 60. We will be switching into NFL mode, because that is going to be dominating our programs for the next several months from here on out when August begins. But in the meantime, there is still quite a bit of news to get to when it comes to the world of the NBA and the NFL, because some historic contracts were signed. But before we get to all of that and so much more, we have to plug the social media platforms. Up first on the Twitter or X machine at ON_Sports Show, Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show. And we're right now back to our regular scheduled programming, covering nothing but the world of sports. Our Nation Sports Show, yes, as always, live on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Nation Sports Show. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to all of our content that we do across this channel. And thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Now, hopefully Kevin will be able to join us here tonight, and hopefully Ezra can make it on by the second hour, and hopefully my man Joey will be showing up here in a few minutes. But to kind of get things started, I want to pose the question on where is Damian Lillard going to be playing next year? Because as we all know, the news broke that the Bucks have waived Lillard, and he is now a free agent, and he can sign wherever he wants to go. And I've been thinking about this, that I honestly think, when you look at the grand scheme of things, I know Kevin and I and Joey and I a week and a half ago talked about what if I think he should go to Golden State. But I've been thinking about it, and I've been reading reports, and I honestly think that Lillard should probably go to the Celtics, because Boston has a lot of areas that need to be filled as far as gaping holes in their team because of losing Kristaps Porzingis and losing Drew Holiday, the free agency in the offseason. And the fact that Jason Tatum is not going to be there for pretty much all year long with the torn Achilles and had to have surgery, I think that the best move for Damian Lillard is to go somewhere where he can definitely help a team because even though Golden State would be a very nice piece, because they've already got Steph Curry. Obviously, he's been there for years since he got drafted in 2009. They've had Jimmy Butler for the last year and a half plus, and now he's with the team for a couple of years. But I think that where his services best fit is with the Boston Celtics because of all the injuries that they've dealt with and losing Tatum and all the offseason moves that the Celtics have made. And I stand by my analysis on the Celtics that I don't think these moves are made if they didn't win that championship. Ladies and gentlemen, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. Unlike LeBron, he shows up on time and he shows up early by any means necessary. My man, JT, Joey Thornton, what's going on, pal?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good to be back in the co-host chair this week after having some personal matters over these past 2 weeks. But I'm here. I'm ready to talk some sports. And as a little added bonus for all of y'all out there, I'm wearing me a Joe Hendry t-shirt this evening.
You know why? Because we believe.
In Joe Hendry. Which, by the way,
uh,
for any of y'all who want to see Joe Hendry in action, once again, check out TNA Slammiversary coming up this Sunday, I believe, July 20th, where he is going to be part of a triple threat match along with Mike Santana and, of course, the TNA World Champion Trick Williams in a triple threat match.
yep, going to be happening in Long Island, New York this upcoming
Check,
weekend.
yes, check your local listings.
Yes, and we might even sprinkle a little bit of wrestling talk because there was so much that went down over the weekend and across all the brands, WWE, AEW, you name it. There's so much that went down, and both companies put on one hell of events over the weekend. And we'll get
Oh,
to that at some point down in the broadcast. And Joey, I posed the question before you joined. Where does Damian Lillard's services best fit? Now, I know you and me and Kevin, when you guys were here, we were hanging out by the pool and we were talking about maybe Lillard should go to Golden State. But as I've been reading reports, I think that Lillard should go to the Celtics, considering what they've been going through the last several weeks because of Tatum obviously being going to be out for the majority of the 25-26 season, and obviously losing Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday to free agency and trades respectively. And I think that if you are Damian Lillard, waive your options wisely because the Boston Celtics have a lot of gaping holes on their team that need to be fixed.
yeah, that is a very solid point. I mean, Boston could definitely use a player like Damian Lillard. Even though he's gonna be injured for the majority of the season to where we don't know when he's gonna come back. But I'm gonna raise a question to you, Steven. Can Boston afford Damian Lillard? Can they afford him? Because keep in mind, they're still, I mean, I wouldn't say they're hurting on as far as money terms right now, but they did just pay $630 million to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown a year ago.
They did, but he would have to take a serious pay cut.
He would have to take a serious pay cut, and I'm not sure if Lillard would want to be able to do that.
That is
Now,
a excellent point.
but let's see. As far as teams that could use a player like Damian Lillard, well, actually, you know what? I happen to have a pretty interesting place in mind. Um, this is a team that, given their rich history over the past several years, has finished close to the bottom of the barrel these past couple years. But it seems like they are on their way up once again. And this team could really use a player like Damian Lillard to help out their backcourt a little bit. And the team that I'm thinking about is the San Antonio Spurs.
That is a very intriguing scenario you just threw out there because, that's not a bad option because
It's really not.
considering what San Antonio has gone through the last several years, having to rebuild following Tony Parker, leaving the team and Tim Duncan retiring and Manu Ginobili retiring. I mean, this team has gone through a serious overhaul as far as rebuilding. And now they're trying to get, a
And see,
team.
and technically, they don't have Chris Paul under contract because they only signed him to a 1 year deal. So Chris Paul is technically a free agent. And speaking of Chris Paul, he's contemplating retirement, so he may not come back next year. So if San Antonio needs to get a point guard or a shooting guard, they need to look towards Lillard's way because he can really help them out, especially with Wembanyama over there at the front court.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that Lillard is a freakish athlete, even he can, if he's healthy, he can still go. And you get a young guy like, like Wembanyama, a guy who can stretch the floor and who can move. And I believe they got Fox as well, right? They signed him too, if I'm
I
not
believe they
mistaken.
do have De'Aaron Fox, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
De'Aaron Fox signed a multi-year contract with the Spurs too, so they've got
let me just
some
double check
pieces.
that just to make sure.
So there's
Yes, he did. Yes, he
wow.
did. He's with San Antonio, and he's their point guard actually. So yeah, insert Damian Lillard in there as a shooting guard, and there's your backcourt right there.
Absolutely. And that is a very interesting, point that you pointed out because the NBA is a constantly evolving league. Teams, especially with the last 7, 8 years, no team stays the same. And now that
Now,
really dynasties, for the most part, are really no more. There's a handful of teams that still have some of the same core players, but it's hard to repeat in this league. And
it really is.
thinking about where we're headed to now, because the Oklahoma City Thunder, are the defending champions. And they just signed J-Dub to a max deal, but that deal has not been, the details of that contract have not been laid out. But now that you have your core three,
I actually believe they have. Let
they
me
have,
just. I
because
believe they have.
Shea
Let me.
Gilgeous-Alexander, his deal was made public on what his contract was.
Let's see. Yeah, 3 year, $24 million contract with the Thunder.
All right,
I
so
believe. I believe I'm looking at this right. Let me see. Let me just go to ESPN. Yeah. Yep. 3 years, $24 million.
interesting. So they didn't go with the max contract. I guess they were trying to save some money, and which that makes sense because if you're trying to get more players to come to that organization, then you got to do what you got to do.
Let's see. I believe they signed the other Jalen Williams as well. Yes. Yes, they did. 5 year, $287 million max rookie contract.
That sounds about right. The
Yep,
J Dub,
5 year. Yep, five
that's
year,
got
$287 million, and then
that's
they
got
paid. Let's see. Then they paid. Let me see. What's the
that's
contract
got
for
that
Shea
that
Gilgis?
that's got to be J Dub because the year that he had,
Yeah.
yeah, him and Gildas Alexander, I believe SGA's was it 285.
SGA's is a 4 year, $285 million
Yep.
supermax contract.
Yep. So they both signed J Dub and SGA to both $280+ million deals. That's insane.
It really is insane.
They're
And
locked up for
plus,
the next
and
decade
plus,
plus.
And plus, since the fact that they got plus the fact since they also locked down Chet Holmgren, that's technically their big three right there, all
Yep,
locked down.
yep. So Thunder have made some moves, to keep their core three, and those core three of SGA and Holmgren and Williams were definitely the leading factors to that Thunder team winning this last month's NBA Finals in 7 games. So we'll see what happens because, as we know in the world of sports today, dynasties for the most part are not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
For the most part. Now, yeah, as far as Lillard is concerned, I really think that the Celtics or the Spurs could be very intriguing options for him. And even Golden State would be intriguing too, because, Golden State, could use some help too, because, I mean, Steph and Jimmy are your two, for sure firepowers, on offense. And you could always use that extra, a little bit of cushion, on offense. If Steph's not having a good game or if
Hmm.
Butler's not having a good game, then you could have Lillard there. And we know Lillard, when he's on his A game, he's hard to guard.
Whoa. I just now thought about this. Oh, snap.
What you got?
If Damian Lillard could go to this team, because apparently this team needs a point guard. If he can go to this team, they could instantly become NBA Finals favorites.
Who?
The Minnesota Timberwolves.
Man, and Ant-Man would play shooting guard, huh?
Ant-Man would play shooting guard and put Damian Lillard in at point guard. Whoa.
Man. You know
That
what?
could that could vault Minnesota to an NBA to at least an NBA Finals appearance
Because think about what
next
Minnesota
season.
has. They have Ant-Man. They have their guy, Rudy Gobert, in the paint. They got Nas Reed, shooting them jumpers. They got Walker shooting them jumpers. They got they
Yeah,
got they got DiVincenzo shooting them jumpers. I mean, they have a roster that can go, but they're missing that one key piece. And Lillard just might be that key piece that gets Minnesota over the hump, because the last 2 years against the Mavericks and the Thunder, they went to the Western Conference Finals.
that's right.
Man, that is
And they lost in
not a
five
bad
games both
observation.
times.
Not a bad observation right there,
Man,
because
but man, just imagine if Damian Lillard would sign with Minnesota. That would be crazy.
yes, it would.
Wow.
Knowing this offseason, you never know what's going to happen.
That is very true. You never know. Hey!
Ezra! What's up, man?
Looks like his mic's still off right now. Probably working out the audio.
All
Hey,
right, is that
there he is. There he is. What's
so?
going on, Ez?
What's going on, guys? I'm on the phone right now. I'm back home, but I'm babysitting my sister. My mom went to go pick up dinner for us, but I'll be when I get my food. I'll be joining you guys probably within about 10 minutes after that on the computer. So, but I'm here to talk for a little bit. So, what's going on?
Well, you actually came on at quite a good point because we were talking about possible destinations for Damian Lillard here in this off season.
It's a tough one to call because I mean, Dame's got a lot of interest from a lot of teams, and if you think about that. But Dame has his own priorities. He wants to be with a championship contending team. He wants to be with a team that's going to take him far into the playoffs, if not to the championship. And
Yeah,
he was more than giddy to get himself out of Milwaukee and get himself somewhere else after what
yeah,
happened with them in the playoffs this past season. So
Not just that, but the
yeah.
adversity he went through early on or during the middle part of last year too, because of all the injuries and the blood clots and all that type of stuff, and just
That is very true. And I did throw out two possible teams that could really use Lillard. The first team I said was the San Antonio Spurs, and how they could
Mhm.
pair him up with De'Aaron Fox over there in the
Ooh.
backcourt with Wembanyama in the front court. But then I was looking at some more research, and I found out that there is a team that has actually done pretty well in the playoffs as of late, even though they haven't gone to an NBA Finals. That could really use a guy like Lillard, and that's the T Wolves.
Yeah, that's actually. I think those are two solid picks. Especially like you said, the T Wolves need to give they need to give some of their players some help, and I think having a veteran like Dame on the team, I think would be a great asset to the entire Grizzlies organization. But the other
Right.
team, but the other team you threw out. Who was the other team you threw out? I'm sorry.
The Spurs.
The Spurs, definitely. Yes, you got the Aaron Fox there, who's a great player. You pair him up with Dame, like you said, Wembanyama in the front court. That's a lethal combination. And you got Wembanyama's size, his speed, his agility, and you got Dame, who's just one of the best shooters around with his 3 point ability, his ability
Oh
to just
yeah.
he's very much he reminds me a lot of his playing style because the way he loves to shoot threes and drive in the paint of a Steph Curry, of a Shea Gilgeous Alexander, very much in that vein of superstar athlete that can really take a team to the next level as long as the correct pieces are around him. And I think with the Spurs or with the Grit or with the T Wolves, you have those pieces around to build a solid team. Now it's just a matter of cohesion and just it's like Bully Ray would say on Busted Open, tightening the screws. Once you get that taken care of, you have a solid foundation for a great team that can make a big move in the playoffs.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah, for sure.
And then I brought up the Celtics because of all the things they've gone through with losing Tatum to the Achilles injury and obviously the players that they've lost in the offseason like Porzingis and Drew Holiday. And the only other way he could really get on that team is if he took a massive pay cut, considering because of what Brown and Tatum are getting paid as far as contracts.
And I don't know if that's going to be the case for Dame because I think he's going to want a solid. I'm not saying overly paid. I'm saying a solid money contract that's going to give him some solid money, not overpay him, but not undermine him either. He doesn't want to be low. I don't think he wants to be lowball. He wants to go to a team. Yes, he wants to go to a team to help them, but you got to think this is a business. This is the man's livelihood and the things he wants to do. And how do you do that? You make money. And the only way you're going to make
Mm-hmm.
solid money, and especially in this industry, is if you're able to negotiate a solid number for your contract. I'm not expecting him to pull, big, you know, 30, 40 million if that's the case. He could because of stardom, but you gotta think he's been sitting out with injuries, blood clots, all that stuff. So maybe his number's a little lower. I don't know, but I could see, and he's a veteran too. He's not a young kid anymore. So there's a little bit of some factors going in that could maybe hurt that number, but also could help that number.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
as the
absolutely.
offseason
That is a very
progresses,
solid point.
it's going to be again, it's going to be very interesting to see where he lands because I mean that has been the big focal point of the offseason. Also, where Giannis could end up because there's a lot of rumors floating around. Is he going to be traded? Where is he going to go if he gets traded? Where does he want to go? Because again, when you are involved in a trading type scenario, you have to hope that the team that is trading you is going to land you in the spot that you want to be at.
Exactly.
So it's just very fascinating to see where he goes because again, there's other teams, like the Celtics, the T Wolves. I mean, geez, I mean, Golden State, I mean, the Nuggets, just off the top of my head, San Antonio's another one. I mean, just again, some of these teams are a few moves away from being right there in the hunt for possibly contending for a championship because the Nuggets made their
Well,
moves a couple years ago. The Celtics made their moves 2 seasons ago to win a championship. OKC drafted in the draft to get the players that they wanted and got Gilgeous Alexander in the trade with the Clippers and they built around him. And that's pretty much where it is. You have to make the smart business decisions in trading and obviously signings and drafting. What's up, Joey?
Right, but here's a possible question for both of you. Um, they obviously have lost Tyrese Halliburton for this upcoming season. So what about the Indiana Pacers for both players, or at least one of them?
I thought about that too because since Halliburton's
Miles,
going to be out for the whole year,
Miles Turner departed and went to, I believe it was Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
Oh,
Yep.
that's right. That's right. Miles Turner went to Milwaukee.
Yeah, so that leaves
That's
the
right.
space.
I forgot about that. Four
So that
years,
leaves
$170 million.
yeah, so that leaves the space open on the team that could be filled by Lillard.
That's right. Or Giannis.
The salary cap situation. Depends on where they're.
That is
Depends
very
on
true.
where,
Salary cap is very important.
yeah, unlike other sports, baseball, they have they have a ceiling. So when it comes to that, they gotta look at their numbers because you gotta think there's teams like understandably so. We just saw the Oklahoma City Thunder pay $827 million for 3 players.
Yep. Williams,
So
Holmgren, and SGA.
we just saw them pay like I said, almost $1 billion in money to these players, and they can do that because obviously these guys are on all rookie contracts, and that's the max they can pay. But also too, you're a championship team, and that kind of raises your roof a little bit, and you're able to kind of pay a little bit more. But a team like Indiana is going to have some sort of limitation in their salary cap depending on the contracts of Halliburton, the contracts of Naismith, the contracts of TJ McConnell, other players on the team. It doesn't, so they got to look at that and see where they land too. Because yes, they lost Miles Turner, but are they going to have to move other people around? Maybe some would restructure or get cut in order to get a Damian Lillard or Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's going to
Not
be
just that, Ezra, but to add to your point, the Indiana needs size now because of losing Miles Turner in the offseason.
yeah, and that's one. Yeah, Giannis brings size, but it brings also. I don't know how I'd feel about. You got Tyrese and Giannis. Yes, you have two superstar athletes playing side by side, but I don't know. Would that be a thing where how people look at the big three when people look at all the superstars on one team? I just don't know. I mean, yes, he'd be a great asset, but I just had this uncomfortable feeling about Giannis and him sharing the spotlight. I don't know.
Not, and that's a great point by you because if we remember correctly, when LeBron 15 years ago went to Miami in 2010, for the first several weeks, he could not get it together with Wade and with Bosh. But then, as time went on and time progressed, he was able to get chemistry with those two star players and get acquitted with everybody and used to playing with everybody. Because when you go from being in Cleveland for 7 years and then going to Miami, because you're destined and hungry to win a championship in your mind, you're having to get, used to a new surrounding, and new teammates and new coaches. And yeah, and I thought about that too because Giannis, he's been with Milwaukee. That's all Giannis knows is Milwaukee. Now, the fortunate thing for him is he won a championship, obviously, in 2021 with that club. And he has a championship DNA. And no matter where he goes, he can, spread his championship, wisdom and his being a veteran of being deep into the postseason. And he's going to have to go somewhere where I don't think he's going to have to be that top guy, because if he goes to a team where there's already a top guy, now we have some problems. You know what I mean? Because let's just say if he goes to Golden State, that can interfere with Steph Curry because Giannis is a number one. Curry is a number one. And when Durant went to Golden State, during that first year, now they ended up winning a championship, obviously, but even during their first couple of months, Durant was having problems getting used to the Golden State system. So it can happen, but it depends on where does Giannis fit. Because
I agree.
any of these teams, San Antonio or Golden State or the Celtics, if they can, they would have to. But Giannis wants money. He wants to get paid, and I don't think the Celtics can afford him. I think that San Antonio or Golden State are going to give him the best opportunity to continuously make some money.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. And speaking of Spurs, we talked about real quick, Steven. I know this is your show today, Junior. Um, right here, we mentioned Wembanyama. Well, there was some good news that dropped today involving Victor Wembanyama, and that is that he has been fully cleared after dealing with the deep vein thrombosis in his shoulder, and he is expected to play this coming season.
Good. That is good.
Yep. So I wanted to bring that up real quick. I'm looking at NBA.com, scrolling through their news right now, and seeing a few things. Of course, since we're on the NBA topic, Paul George had to undergo left knee surgery. Luckily, it was only arthroscopic, and hopefully he'll be ready by the start of training camp. So we'll see how that goes. So we'll see how that goes too.
Yep. And I mentioned about the contracts when it comes to Williams, but also Devin Booker got paid by the Phoenix Suns.
Yes, he did.
He did.
I'm gonna go to look up the numbers real quick. A non-sports note going into wrestling real quick. Looks like Masha Slamovich will be on NXT tonight.
Nice. I mean, that match is going to be so good on Sunday.
And then add to it, she's facing Natty Neidhart at Bloodsport.
Okay, yeah. Here's the number. Here's the numbers for Devin Booker's contract.
Damn, okay, 70 million a year. Good God.
Yeah, 2 years, $145 million max extension. Wow.
And Charles Barkley, of course, has to comment.
He's terrible anyways. Who cares?
He said Devin Booker is the luckiest dude in the world. Gonna make 70 million a year to dribble a stupid basketball.
God damn.
Barkley.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, Chuck, but this is the norm now where these players are getting paid a shit ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The salary cap across the NBA and the NFL has gone up very significant now the last couple of years.
Oh, very.
And poor MLB, they had their home run derby yesterday. They got the All-Star game today in Atlanta, and they're getting just trumped by the NFL and the NBA when it comes to all these contract signings that have came out the last couple of days. I mean, Major League Baseball cannot catch a break. I mean, because all these other sports are dominating. Speaking of Atlanta, how cool for Atlanta the last several days. They had SmackDown, they had Saturday Night's Main Event, they had Evolution, and then they had the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game. So, damn Atlanta, you're making a shit ton of money for your community these last several days. So, that's awesome.
For real.
Like, for real.
For real.
All that traffic, I don't miss it. That Atlanta traffic is terrible.
That Atlanta traffic is horrendous.
I've been there like 3 or 4 times. It is terrible.
Oh yeah.
I've been there like 10 times.
Oof,
I've never been to Atlanta, but traffic in the city of Nashville is just as bad. This is a guy who's been to Nashville at least 8 or 9 times.
Oh, I bet. With it being Music City and a lot of stuff to do. Yeah. And especially when football comes around. Whew.
Football and especially the CMA Country Music Festival. I've been down there for those every single year. It is freaking chaos. So, but Steven, what's next on the docket? What do you have? What should we talk about next?
So I brought up the NFL, and the Jets have paid their 2 big star players max deals as well. Gardner getting paid $120.4 million. And also as of announced yesterday, that Garrett Wilson has signed a 4-year deal with the Jets worth $130 million.
Yep. And
My goodness.
I think that's a smart move. I think it's a smart move for the Jets to make sure they lock up two of their best players. Sauce Gardner, who's been, everywhere, and especially because of his name, he's been a media sensation. Garrett Wilson has been one of the stalwarts for the Jets right now. And as far as on the wide receiver position, it just sucks that they've had some bad luck, whether it's the draft or offseason, not getting the players that they really kind of should. But you know what? It's all about a building process in this league. You either have a great team off the bat or you have to rebuild. And a lot of teams, including the Jets, are going through some rebuilds. Obviously, it's better for them not to have Aaron Rodgers, obviously. I'm not trying to go into an Aaron Rodgers tangent here, but it's best for them not to have him so they can start fresh. I don't know what the quarterback situation is right off the top of my head. I don't know who is available right now. I mean, or who are the quarterbacks on the Jets right now at this point?
I mean, it is good for the Jets because to get both Gardner and to get Wilson, two of the best players on that organization who have had consistent years despite either their defense, where, especially for Sauce's case, having a defense that, at times was really good. And then one year where it was really bad, but he was still the most consistent player on the defensive side of the football. And then you have Garrett Wilson, who year after year, no matter who his quarterback is, even if it was Aaron Rodgers and him and Rodgers, and that's the sad part, is him and Rodgers did develop some chemistry as the year went on last year. But it just wasn't enough because the Jets got off to a very bad start, with losing several games and losing very winnable games. And in the NFL, you have to maximize every single possession you're on that field, whether you're on defense or offense or even special teams, because every single department of that facet of the game failed the Jets in many different ways last year. And good for Gardner, good for Wilson to get the money that they deserve, because to me, despite the mediocrity that the Jets have been in the last decade plus, they know when they know they have great players, they know how to distribute the money. And I think they did a very good job of paying these two guys.
Also, too, it just makes Sauce Gardner the highest paid cornerback in the entire NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, right in front of Derek Stingley Jr., J.C. Horn, Jalen Ramsey, and Patrick Surtain.
And it's just a matter of time before we go up to $200 million, because we're headed that way with the NFL. Because like the NBA's already got these maximum contracts, worth nearly 300 million, or 300 million because of Brown and Tatum, signing those with the Celtics. And when you sign these players to these big contracts, you better put your money literally where your mouth is, because the sports fan today's mentality is please me now. Because if you don't, what have you done for me lately? And if they get to where they're tired of you, they'll want you gone from the team. You better succeed now, because the window of opportunity is very slim now. And when it comes to the NFL, the NBA, NHL, MLB, because there is no guarantee that these teams are going to get back and in winning, fashion. Because think about it. If you're in this, if you're in the NBA Finals, the Super Bowl, the World Series, like if you are able to be one of the lucky two teams that make it into these championship rounds or the Super Bowl in the NFL, you need to win it now. That has to be your mentality, because there is no tomorrow. You're not even, not only are we not promised tomorrow, but you as a team are not promised that you're going to get back to the championship round or the Super Bowl. Because now that some of these teams like the Thunder, like the Celtics a couple years ago, and the NFL, like when it comes to Kansas City, the reason why the Chiefs don't have the pressure on them is because they won the Super Bowl multi-years, the last 6 seasons, 3 times. And now, heading into the next phase of the NFL, And it's crazy that we're only a couple weeks away before we begin our next full coverage of the NFL. As these contracts, continue to get signed, the pressure on these teams, it's going to keep mounting because, especially with like the Steelers and, getting Rodgers and just so many different teams are now, jockeying for positions, to try to make those last pushes, to sign players to these big contracts because they know, with the next, league coming up, league year coming up, they're going to have to sign these guys because, I mean, think about it. The Jets knew what they had to do to sign Wilson and to sign Gardner to these contracts because if they didn't, they're going to be unrestricted free agents probably within the next year or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, you mentioned the Chiefs too. Trey Smith got locked down with a new contract as well.
Mm-hmm.
4 years, $94 million 4-year deal that includes $70 million guaranteed, making him the highest paid guard in NFL history.
Yes, he did.
Yep, Chiefs locked him down. Let's see what else real quick. Looking right now through Sheffy's Twitter. All I see is the stuff about the uniforms and all that. Not a lot of extra stuff. Let's see. Oh yeah. 49ers with Juwan Jennings right now. He's seeking a new contract or a trade because he's scheduled to make $7.5 million this season in his final year of his deal. So, but he wants a brand new deal made, or he wants out.
Interesting.
Something else that's interesting is let's see. What's that player's name again? That's on my favorite team. Oh yeah. When's Terry McLaurin getting his contract?
Yeah, like for real.
Seriously,
Like, come on,
what
man.
is taking so long? He is our number one receiver for a reason. When is he getting his contract?
Does he, of all players, deserve it because he's been with a bunch of shitty quarterbacks over the years and he finally got a quarterback last season with
Yeah,
Jaden
exactly.
Daniels. I'm like, come on, man. Like, you got to pay this dude. Like, he
So
deserves
come
it.
on. So come on, Adam Peters. We're trying to let you cook here, but come on, we got to get a piece of paperwork in front of Terry McLaurin. Oh boy.
Yeah. Let's see what else I was reading. Quinshawn Judkins of the Browns. He's the rookie running back. He was arrested on a domestic violence and battery charge in Fort Lauderdale, Florida on Saturday.
Hmm.
He is scheduled to have his initial court hearing. He had his initial court appearance Sunday morning, and he was still in jail Saturday night.
Wow. Oh, speaking of which, not related to that, but I came across a pretty big news story just a little bit ago. Apparently, the only first round pick that has not signed yet, Shamar Stewart, he has reportedly left Cincinnati and gone to practice with his college, the Texas A&M Aggies. And they're saying that he can apply for a waiver to play for Texas A&M this season and re-enter the draft next year.
Whoa. I have
Interesting.
never heard of that. Wow.
That's amazing.
That
Yes,
is
all, all,
incredible.
so all he has to do is apply for a waiver, and if he gets accepted, then Cincinnati has lost out on their first round pick. And not only that, but if Shamar Stewart can play this year for Texas A&M and report to the NFL draft next year, that waiver also includes that Cincinnati cannot draft him.
Hmm.
Interesting.
That is crazy.
I've never heard of that. Never.
Neither
Neither
I.
I.
Well, the old saying goes, it's true. There's a first time for everything. And this, in my judgment as a sports fan, this would be a first time for everything because I've never heard of this taking place following a draft in any sport.
That is
Hey
very
guys,
true.
I'll be back in a few minutes, okay?
Alrighty.
All good.
All right.
But yeah, I've never heard of that. Unreal. Now I brought up it.
I just don't understand. I mean, for one thing, he's a rookie, so it's not like he can expect a big contract right out the gate. But I don't know how much he's asking for.
Yeah, I think he's bidding off a little bit more than he can chew. Like, come on, man. Like, you're a rookie. It ain't like you're a top guy because you haven't even proved to the NFL audience that you are worth what you think you're worth. And see,
Exactly.
this right here could be a very bad situation for him because let's just say if that comes out that he's been cleared with the waiver and he goes back to Texas A&M. What if he goes back to the NFL next year and he gets drafted by an even worse team? And not
And this
just
also
that.
could suck. Yeah, but I said this also could suck for Cincinnati even more because apparently talks are going around that Trey Hendrickson might get traded now because apparently they can't agree to a contract extension for him.
Mm,
So I mean, like I said, the Bengals are going to have that offense, but if they lose Trey Hendrickson, they're not going to have a defense.
no.
I'm sorry, but they're not.
And that was Cincinnati's Achilles heel last year was their putrid defense because their defense at times lost them games that were very winnable. And not just games that were very winnable against teams that were beatable, but even it cost them critical games against their division and their rivals.
Yeah, because keep in mind that I know you remember the week last year, but that Thursday night game or the Thursday night game with Cincinnati and Baltimore that ended in what was that 35-34 score?
Yep.
Wasn't that week 10 last year?
I believe it was, yes. Because those Baltimore Cincinnati games were absolutely crazy last year.
They really were.
If I'm not mistaken, the game you're thinking of was a game that was on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, because that's the one where Jamar Chase had like what 4 receiving touchdowns
Yes, let me see.
and like over 250 yards receiving, something like that.
Let's see. I'm pulling it up now.
It was either
Okay.
200 or 250 yards receiving, somewhere in that area.
This was week 10. You're correct.
Yep.
November 7th, to be exact. Classic. That score is crazy. 35-34. Good Lord.
Yeah, let's see.
see.
Jamar Chase. Yep. 11 receptions, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns. Damn.
Man, that is some fantasy numbers right there for you.
Tell me about it.
Better yet, that's some Madden like numbers right there.
Yeah.
Oh man. But I brought up the MLB Home Run Derby was last night, and we have a brand spanking new winner.
The first ever catcher to win it,
Yes, history.
Mr. Cal Riley.
Yup. And his prophecy of winning the Home Run Derby came fulfilled 20 years later.
That's right, because of that video that his brother posted. And how awesome that his father was actually throwing the pitches to him and his brother was catching. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a true family moment last night in Atlanta.
Yes, it was. Another cool feather in the cap for the city of Atlanta over the weekend.
Yeah, that All-Star game should be tipping off here in just about 10 minutes.
Yep.
Oh, here we go. Let's see. Did we talk about the Trey Smith deal for Kansas City?
Ezra brought it up, but bring it up again.
4 years, $94 million.
And if you're Kansas City, you had to sign him.
You had to.
Also, real quick
Oh
in the world.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and just announced earlier today. Let's see. I'm trying to see what game it is. Okay, yeah. During Washington's November 2nd game, or Washington's game on November 2nd against the Seattle Seahawks, it was announced earlier today that at halftime of that game, they will be retiring the jersey of legendary wide receiver number 81, Art Monk.
Nice.
Very nice.
Congratulations. That's gonna be awesome.
Let's see. I'm not seeing anything else as far as NFL is concerned. I did see the other day that former NFL quarterback who's now coaching at a high school, Teddy Bridgewater, was suspended from his well he's been position suspended from his position as a high school football coach in Miami for allegedly providing impermissible benefits to his players. Hmm.
Yeah, especially the
That is
news. The news is
that's a
gonna
little
pick up
crazy.
once we get towards the previewing the stuff the NFL stuff in the next couple of weeks for sure.
Oh yeah, August.
That
Yeah, we're
that
still
that.
shooting for August the 5th, I believe.
Oh,
Just
another news item that just popped in my head randomly. DeAndre Ayton has signed a contract with the Lakers.
yawn.
Figured to be reported. It's out there in the
Yeah, I
open.
know, but Aiden has not played a full 82 game season since he came to the pros.
Well, only thing he's
As a
got
matter of
going for him
fact,
is that he went to the finals.
yeah, as a matter of fact, he's missed a lot of games in quite a few seasons because of injuries.
Yes, he has. Also, real quick, in the world of boxing, Amanda Serrano lost to Katie Taylor in their trilogy fight at Madison Square Garden. And so Taylor wins the trilogy and keeps her title.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just,
speaking of the world of boxing, this is obviously still about a month and a half away, but if you wanna tune into a great fight, tune in on Saturday night, September the 13th, if I'm not mistaken, because in the middle of that boxing ring, we're gonna see two of the best current boxers go at it in Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Bud Crawford. That's going to be one hell of a fight.
yes, it is. Also, of note, I know Kevin reported about this on our chat that this is kind of funny that came out that George Kittle pinned the miss.
Oh well, he actually hit the sweet chin music on the Miz.
Yeah, he swit the sweet chin music on the biz. That's fantastic. Obviously,
It's,
Kittle being a massive wrestling fan.
yeah, speaking of wrestling, I mean, I can't really think of anything else in the world of sports.
Not, dude. You and me both. That's what this going in today. Not a lot to talk about. We covered a lot of stuff in the first 50. Pretty much everything in 50 minutes. But I definitely cannot go without this show talk about this broadcast about what we saw this past weekend in the world of professional wrestling, because what a very interesting weekend it was in the world of wrestling, because both WWE and AEW put on two fantastic shows. And
Yeah,
I
what
mean,
do you say? Yes, what do you say we go in order? Starting with NXT's The Great American Bash.
now I did not tune into this live because I was too busy checking out AEW All In. So I'm pretty sure you watched that. And so what are the results? Now I know the main event, Blake Monroe and the
Yeah, she
Jordan
turned on
Grace.
Jordan Grace, costing her title match against JC Jane.
Yeah, that was actually at Evolution.
Oh,
Um
yeah, yeah, that's right. But Jordan
Monroe
Grace
and
and Blake
Grace won the
Monroe
tag
as a
match.
team, they beat JC Jane and Fallon Henley in that tag match.
Yeah.
which is which is kind of crazy how they team together one night, but then one of them turned on the other little the night after.
Yep.
Oh wait, we've seen that already this year. Becky Lynch turning on Lyra Valkyria.
That's right. Yep. That's right.
But
And
let's see. I mean, not really anything happened that's really worth mentioning in the Great American Bash. So let's go to AEW All In.
now this is where this was ramped up to 11 as far as a lot of was it to me? Was it perfect by any stretch? No. But was it one of their better pay-per-views in quite some time? Absolutely, 110% yes. Because you had so for me, where the card really ramps up and gets going is that Osprey and Swerve and Young Bucks tag match. That was so good. And they literally swerved us over watching it, and Osprey and Strickland beat the Bucks to become the new EVPs of all Elite Wrestling. And this was shocking because when they added these stipulations, I'm going, man, this is so predictable as all hell. I think the Bucks are going to win. Da 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 da. But so glad they went the complete opposite, because now that makes the television product even more interesting. And that match with the false finishes and the counters and just the pacing of the match, it was so good. And the entrances were great. And one thing of note when it comes to Ospreay's entrance, not only was the cool with the Assassin's Creed type ordeal with the entrance, but also what was cool was the pyrotechnics that were being blasted during Ospreay's entrance were going in sequence really with the music of when the chant of his name Ospreay would ring out over the PA in the song, and it was just so cool that the pyro was going in sequence with the music and stuff, almost like in the concert setting, where the pyro goes off when the drums come in, or the beat drops, or the snare hit, or whatever. And that match was really
Yeah,
good.
just to go back, about what you said earlier, the Swerve and Osprey and the Young Bucks match. Um, since the Young Bucks lost, they lost their title as executive vice presidents, but Swerve and Osprey didn't become the new EVPs. If Swerve and Osprey would have
Oh,
lost, they would not have been able to challenge for the AEW World Title for a year.
yeah,
But yeah, the Young Bucks are no longer the EVPs of AEW.
yep.
So
Also, real quick of note before we move along with this breakdown of All In, did want to send our best wishes to Adam Cole. I mean, this sucks. The dude's 36 years old, and he
yeah,
cannot catch a break. I mean,
no,
and I guess
it's
according
almost
to
like
reports,
yeah,
it's another concussion.
yeah, it's
Another
almost
concussion.
like it's almost like Kenny Omega being hurt for that long period of time, and nobody knew when he was going to come back.
Absolutely. And the fact that Cole is once again injured, once again out, it put a whole, damper into that TNT title match, because they had to adjust on the fly, and everybody in the stadium and everybody at home that was watching felt so bad for Cole. And just I hope that he can somehow find a way to come back. But if this is another concussion, another serious concussion, I honestly don't even know if it's even worth it anymore, because we do not need another Chris Benoit situation on our hands where
No,
Chris
we certainly do not.
Chris had all those undiagnosed concussions and multiple head traumas, and I'm not making excuses for Chris's actions, because what he did was wrong, but that is where we are at with these concussions, because and he's back.
Yep, he is back.
Yes, sir.
And we were just since there is not a lot to talk about when it comes to sports, because it's been such another dead week. We were just in the middle of talking about the stuff in wrestling, and we were just talking about All In, and I brought up how great the Osprey and Swerve with the Bucks match was really good, and then we were talking about the unfortunate news with Adam Cole, and if the reports are true, that it's another serious concussion. And I brought up the point that if it's another serious concussion, is it even worth it anymore? I mean, I know he still wants to wrestle, and he still wants to go out there and entertain the fans, but at the end of the day, your health is more important than a wrestling match.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Um, All In, I thought was one of, if not the show of the weekend. It's right up there with Evolution. Um, I thought all the matches were done well. Obviously, the TNT title match was a last minute switch, so things probably didn't flow as well as they thought it was going to be. But, congratulations to Dustin. 60, almost 60 years old, if not 60 years old. Man wins the title finally in AEW after being with the company since its inception. Hangman Page finally winning the big one, and also finally getting that title out of that fucking briefcase.
Thank God. And that
Yeah.
and I will say, a violent match finally in AEW where every spot made sense. It just wasn't violence for the sake of violence. This match was so well put together from everybody that was involved in putting this match together. I mean, the way they were so creative with the spots, and how they teased certain spots, like with the nails, and the bed of nails, and teasing that, not bringing it in until the end of the match. And also, and this is where Dave and Bully on Busted Open on Monday hit literally the nail on the head, talking about the usages of the counts on the 10 counts. Every 10 count, when they did it, it made sense. They weren't just doing spots to do the counts early on in the match. They built and built and built with every spot, every count, and every interference made sense. Was it overbooked? Of course it was. Going into that match, you expected it to be overbooked, but it was a very well put together, overbooked match.
Yeah, but the way it was booked and the layering and all that, you
Mm-hmm.
know what it reminds me of? WrestleMania 40.
Cody and Roman.
Remember the appearances from Solo Sikoa and Jimmy and Jay and Cena and Undertaker and The Rock. In this one, you had Ospreay and Joe. You had Joe get taken out earlier. Now you had Ospreay come out there and try, and he gets taken out. Then you have the shock of Bryan Danielson going out there getting physical again. Then Darby coming down from the rafters of Global Life Field.
And what was so cool with Darby's appearance is how they showed the video of him on the mount on Mount Everest, planting that flag, cutting a promo, and then you're thinking, oh, here comes Darby, and then nope, Bryan Danielson in a luchador mask.
He was wearing a mask of one of his idols, Blue Panther.
They teased the fans in such a great way. It was the pop for Danielson was unbelievable.
And then Swerve handing the chain over to Hangman to help finish Mox off.
And
after, of course, Mox took that buckshot lariat onto the bed of nails.
Yup. And what I loved about this match is finally, since this Death Riders storyline has gone on, and I've been saying since Ospreay and since Swerve came into the picture that this story finally was hitting stretches where they were telling you stories every single week. And Moxley in this match over-delivered with his performance. And just his reactions to him panicking of being nailed on those spikes and just knowing that this is it. And Marina Shafir, she was the MVP of this match because she, in all those big spots that she was in, she over-delivered with her performances.
Took that dead belly driver through the table to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Got handcuffed to the timekeeper's desk by Prince Nana. They see show Prince, and Prince is all of a sudden standing there doing his dance. And then that's when Swerve shows up. But right now, real quick, since we're talking wrestling on NXT, Fatal Influence is on here.
Nice.
Oh, Masha is here.
Nice.
They didn't give her TNA theme, but the theme they gave her sounds pretty cool.
Okay. Sweet.
Very nice. Oh, but I will say, going back to AEW All In for just a second, I think other than the Texas Death Match, I think my favorite match was definitely Talentless Tony Storm and Mercedes Moné.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great match.
Moné had the perfect. Moné needed somebody to remind the world who she is, that she is truly one of the best women's wrestlers on the planet. She needed a dance partner who was going to be able to help build that. And guess what? She had it with Tony. And to me, that was Mercedes' best match in AEW.
Yeah, I think that's right up there with the Statlander matches because Tony is such a ring technician herself that she can go. And having Mercedes in there with her in the ring, they showed the entire fan base in AEW that these two women, are forces to be reckoned with because Mercedes, when she's when she's, in the right frame of mind with the right partner in the ring, they can make magic. And her and Tony made some serious magic, and I loved how this was technical. And I loved how every time Tony had a flurry of offense, Mercedes would counter and she would be on the attack and she would, be, aggressive. And just the way this match was put together, it was so good. And the finish was really good. And also Okada and Omega. Now, I said on Twitter, was this going to be was this right up there with their New Japan matches? No. But was it still really good? Absolutely. Because when you have Okada and you have Omega, two guys who have beaten their bodies to death, who have busted their asses to entertain us, the wrestling fans, all these great matches they have had across not just their one-on-one encounters and their multi-man matches, but also the individual matches they have had in New Japan and AEW, respectively. These two guys went out there and showed you that even though they are a little bit older, but they still showed you why they are still the best damn wrestlers to walk the face of this planet. Mad respect to Okada and to Omega. And also, I want to mention the women's gauntlet. Well done, ladies. That was awesome. The women out there killed it in that gauntlet match. And also for the men's gauntlet, Mark Briscoe getting the shine out there. And MJF said what he was going to do. Wrestle smarter, not harder. And MJF got the victory in the men's gauntlet match.
And I will say it was awesome to see. Not only there was some cool returns that competitors that some were in the match, some weren't even in the match. And that was, we saw the returns in the women's gauntlet of Harley Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
She broke her nose a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then on the men's side, we saw the return of Juice Robinson, who has been out with an injury, and to help him out when he was getting the numbers game put against him. The return of the Guns, Austin and Colton.
Yep.
So, but man, what a show that was. One of the best shows of the year. I mean, barely anything's going to top that. Evolution's right up there, too. I mean, they're neck and neck, in my opinion.
And we can't go away without talking about that opening triple threat between Bayley, between Lyra, and between Bayley, and the main event between Rhea and Io Sky. Holy shit.
In the surprise cash in from Naomi.
Yep, the cash in.
Yeah.
We all thought that Naomi was going to cash in on Tiff. We all thought she was going to cash in on Tiffy time. But no, she took advantage of the Io Rhea match because those women beat the hell out of her. By the way, that match is a contender for match of the year.
Without a doubt.
I believe it.
Yeah, those women put on one hell of a bar burner.
And
Kudos.
Io with the spot way above the arena.
I also want to give kudos to Jessica Carr
Woo!
and Charles Robinson. Both took some nasty bumps this weekend.
Especially Jess. Jesus.
Well, no, Charles Robinson cracked the rib when Goldberg speared him.
Yep.
We know Jessica Carr is training to be a pro wrestler. We know Jessica Carr is a trained pro wrestler. So with her, it's.
But Robinson, he took the worst of it because of the rib injury.
Oh, yeah, but he says he's going to be ready this Friday to be back to work.
That's awesome. He's one tough customer.
Yeah. So definitely.
But yeah.
But
the triple threat, kicking things off, those three women went out there and put on a clinic. Just Lyra, Bailey, Becky, three of the best women to ever do it. Just the false finishes, the chemistry in the ring between those three ladies. Just a great back and forth match that was right up there. Okay, followed that, and I will say, the Evolution card, not a lot of slow spots. The crowd was there throughout the entire night. Every match was either good to outright great. I mean, the 20-woman battle royal with Stephanie Vaquer taking the victory. And also, speaking of Stephanie Vaquer, Stephanie McMahon with some fluent Espanol. That was awesome.
Yep. Also, too, we're talking about these wrestling shows. Want to give a shout out to GCW for their event this weekend on the 11th, Boss of All Bosses, with a very violent I Quit match between Sam Stackhouse and the former Fuego del Sol KJ Orso. It took literally KJ using his move. I forget what the name of it is now, but he basically stomped his wife into the camp, stomped Sam's wife into the canvas, and
Damn.
to make him quit. So,
Wow.
and it was a bloody affair. Those men took on each other. Also, we saw Elena Black and Priscilla Kelly as well. First time ever matchup on the Indies. Just an overall great show with that. And finally, gotta say, last night, Monday Night Raw, the return of the OTC, Roman Reigns.
What a pop.
Big
What
pop.
a pop.
And now we got CM Punk versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. And one other thing I want to get into is, I know it's a lot of discourse because of the whole issue with celebrities, but Jelly Roll. I, being a massive fan of this guy, since he came into the country music world a few years ago, I have been a fan of his, a supporter of his, love his voice, think he's a hell of a performer. This guy has lost a ton of weight. This guy is committed not only to doing it for the wrestling, but he also promised his wife that he wants to lose enough weight to not only start a family, but he also wants to go skydiving with her. And there's certain weight limits. And Jelly Roll was a guy that was near the 400-pound mark. Now I think he's close to being under 300.
And
Man lost a ton. But I think this match with him and Randy Orton versus Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre is going to be fun.
And not just that, but the fact that the three professional wrestlers in this match are highly trained athletes. They are 100% behind this. So who am I to criticize a company when you have three of the performers that are saying, hey, we want to work with this guy? Because this guy, who is an outsider from that perspective, is willing to put in the work in being in the ring. Because if Jelly Roll can go out there and not just take a bump, but if he can go out there and wrestle and put on a hell of a match, just like Bad Bunny did at WrestleMania, 37? Yeah, 37. To go out there in front of a live audience and entertain the audience, and if he does a great job, you can't criticize him anymore because he's a true fan. Say what you want about his music. There's people that don't like it. There's people that do like it. Opinions are opinions. But if the man wants to be involved in WWE as far as having a special match, let him have it. If he wants to do it, if he's a fan, I mean, look at Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee was a football player. But this guy also loves professional wrestling. Pat McAfee busted his ass to get to where he wanted to be in WWE. Not just from a commentating standpoint, but also occasionally putting on the boots and getting in the ring and having those matches with Adam Cole in NXT. And then his match with Gunther this year at Backlash exceeded my expectations. That match over-delivered. I'm like, my God, McAfee's not even a full-time competitor, and he's out there hanging with one of the best pound-for-pound professional wrestlers walking the planet in Gunther.
Look at Logan Paul. As much as you could hate Logan Paul as a human being for the things he's done and his attitude, you can't deny he took to wrestling like a fish to water.
He is
Similar
so talented.
similar thing with Stephen Amell. Stephen Amell, one of the best actors known for his role in Arrow. Guy goes out there every once in a while, does a match, and kills it every single time. Bad Bunny, probably the best example. Guy moved to Florida to train at the Performance Center every single day he wasn't on tour. When he wasn't at a tour stop somewhere in the world, he would fly to Florida, stay down there, and train every single day to learn how to wrestle. And that's why he had such banger matches at WrestleMania, the match with Priest at Backlash in Puerto Rico. That's why he's this isn't your Drew Carey's, this isn't your celebrities that go in there and maybe throw a punch and then stand on the ring apron for the next 15 minutes. These are guys who are dedicated to the craft, who want to do it, even if it's just one time. They're putting in the effort for it. Jelly's losing weight. He's training. He's learning how to do this. Hell, the way he sold that Claymore from Drew on Saturday night's main event, he sold it like he got shot. He was face first into the canvas, looked like he was just gone.
Not just that, but also bringing this up too from a musician standpoint. From a musician standpoint, when him and the band were up there on, playing on SmackDown, and then they get interrupted. If you don't know what's going on, that could have been a complete disaster. But obviously Jelly Roll knew what was coming. Because when you do these things, you plan ahead. But if none of his bandmates knew what was going on, that could have gone another different way. Because, hey, what the fuck are you doing to my guy? Instead, everybody played their role very well. And that segment came off very well. And also, Logan Paul channeling his inner The Who, Keith Moon to be exact, destroying the equipment.
Exactly.
I'm like, man, this is great from a musician standpoint. And I'm also thinking like Billy Joe Armstrong with Green Day said, and when he said 1 minute, I'll show you 1 fucking minute. I'll give you 1 fucking minute. And he destroyed the guitar. And Mike Turk did the same thing with his bass guitar. Only thing that wasn't destroyed was the drum set of Trey Cools. This was so well done. Just so cool how it's different. And this is WWE. They've been doing this off and on, for years, bringing in celebrities, to be a part of the business. Some were dedicated fans of the product, and some were just there to collect a paycheck. But the ones that are there, they care.
Exactly. But I think just real quick before because I know we're getting to the bottom of this hour. I don't know what else you want to talk about, Steven, but real quick in the wrestling aspect, just want to talk right now in NXT. It's the unlikely team of Joe Hendry, Trick Williams, and Mike Santana, of course, that being the 3 men who will face each other at Slammiversary for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship.
Mm-hmm.
On the members of Dark State. And then later tonight, what may be our main event is a 6-woman tag, Fatal Influence versus Zarya, Soruka, and Masha Slamovich.
Damn!
So just wanted to get that out there real quick before we get close to wrapping up the show here.
Yeah, the wrestling just continues to heat up. A lot going on. It's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow night on Dynamite. What will Hangman do? What will MJF?
Well, Steven, there was an announcement already made.
Yes.
And Hangman is in a trios match against the members of the Death Riders.
All right.
I believe it is Hangman, Powerhouse Hobbs, and I think Shibata, so it's the Ops, versus Moxley, Claudio. It's either, I'm trying to remember if it's Yuta or Kid.
Probably Kid.
I'm looking up the graphic right now. No, Wheeler Yuta.
Yuta, okay.
Oh no, wait. It's not Shibata, it's Mark Briscoe.
Ooh.
So it's
Okay.
yes, trios match. It's going to be Hangman, Mark Briscoe, Powerhouse Hobbs versus the Death Riders, Claudio, Mox, and Wheeler in a trios match. That would probably be the main event of the show.
Probably. And I would hope that they would kick off the broadcast with Hangman coming out with the belt.
And also, too, a victory speech from Timeless Tony Storm.
Nice.
So those are just your quick on that. But yeah, I'm excited for Dynamite. TNA, of
And
course, their go home show to Slammiversary. And Friday, of course, is SmackDown, where
John, yep.
John Cena and Cody in the building. So we'll see what happens there.
Yep. And before we do go, I do want to get your thoughts because I know you watched it over a week and a half ago before the video on demand feed went down. But Back to the Beginning is still a concert that everybody that is a music fan is still buzzing about, even a week and a half afterwards it's been over. So I know you watched it. I gave my thoughts a couple of days ago. What were your thoughts on the overall way this thing was put together?
I'm going to keep this not brief, but I'm going to keep it condensed because I don't want to spend too much time on it, obviously, because we got to end the show soon. But I will say, I thought the show was very well put together. Tom Morello was the musical director, and it was a lot for him to handle. I mean, you had super groups, you had all the bands that were playing their individual sets while also doing Sabbath tributes. It was a lot to put together, and those super groups especially were a lot to really balance and try to get them to make sure everybody's on the same page. But I thought it was an awesome show. I went back and watched some of the stuff. Got to give shout outs to Tobias for doing a great job on Bark at the Moon. Nuno hit the solo on the end. No for No Perfect sounded exactly like Jakey Lee when he recorded the album back in 83, 84.
Unreal.
And then another one that shocked me was Youngblood doing Changes.
Same.
I don't know much about that guy. I've heard of him before, but he killed it with Changes. He did an amazing job. And obviously, got to give shout outs. I mean, everybody had their own sets. Pantera, of course, killed it. Doing Electric Funeral, Planet Caravan, and of course the two hits, Walking Cowboys. Jason Momoa getting in the pit was pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, Momoa getting that pit started, that was great.
Yes, he was awesome. It was also got to say too with that is also got to give a shout out to Metallica in the deep cuts they played. Johnny Blade being one of them,
and Hole in the Sky.
Yeah, I think they're both from the Never Say Die album. I know Johnny Blade is from Never Say Die, and that's an album that a lot of bands won't touch.
And even though I went on like a madman about Axl, but the one thing I will say about GNR as a band, got to give them a lot of credit because their first 4 selections were nothing but deep cut, either deep cut Sabbath cuts or nothing but Sabbath's covers. So really very ballsy to do that because usually every other band was playing a Sabbath or Ozzy cover here and there and then playing the majority of their own originals.
Yeah. And then there was just so much going on. Anthrax, I thought, did a very good job on their cover. Yeah. Randy Blythe from Lamb of God doing Children of the Grave was awesome.
Unfreaking believable.
I love how he switched out between the death growl vocals that he sings in Lamb of God to a normal singing voice. And then they released a studio version of it, which I thought was cool. Then finally, of course, I want to talk about Ozzy and of course Sabbath. Ozzy, I thought for the condition he's in, his age, I thought he did a really good job. He tried his best. I mean, you could tell he was struggling. Obviously, the Parkinson's does that. His age does that. But man, he came in there and he gave it all. He gave it his all, and that's all you could ask for. You had a great backing band with Ozzy's band, and then of course Sabbath. I mean, come on, those guys proved why they are the architects of heavy metal. They put on 4 songs, four, of course, of the standards. We wish they could have done more, but of course, Ozzy set kind of dominated that. But I was excited, and they killed them. Bill Ward, I mean, still has it. I mean, the riff master Tony. I mean, come on, and
Iommi and Butler were locked in.
Geezer's bass playing was fucking still incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That little bass solo that he did
before NIB,
NIB was awesome. That was just amazing to hear, and that was one hell of a way to go out with that. And if this is truly the last time we ever see Ozzy on stage, then I'm good with that. Holy shit.
What's up?
The System just showed up on NXT. Them and Mike Santana are going after Dark State.
Oh, this is truly an invasion now.
Ryan Myers, JDC, and Eddie Edwards.
Damn.
Funny thing is, all one of them are WWE guys. All but one of them are former WWE guys. Brian Myers, Kurt Hawkins, and JDC Fandango.
Yep.
So, but no, that was cool. But just to cap it off, great show, amazing show. All the performers came out there and kicked ass, took names, did their parts, and paid a loving tribute to Ozzy. So can't really complain. Like I said, there was some issues. I mean, obviously Guns with Axl's voice, but it is what it is. The show is done. Sabbath and Ozzy seem to be done, hopefully, especially for Ozzy's health. But just thank you to Ozzy, thank you to Sabbath, and now it's time to move on for what's next. But
and also, real quick as well, very cool. And this kind of came out of left field today with Alter Bridge's news of the new album that will be released at the beginning of January of 2026, self-titled. I mean, this kind of should have expected it just because I had somehow stumbled upon a post from the band's Facebook social media that was saying these words, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, this has to be a song title or a lyric or something. I'm like, this has to be, they have to be teasing new music. And then it was announced this morning that, true to those statements on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everywhere on their social media, all these song titles and all these different things that were posted were all in reference to their self-titled up-and-coming album that was recorded over a 2-month period at 5150 Studios.
And they have a song that's over 9 minutes.
The longest song in the band's catalog.
Called Slave to Master. It's the final track on the album.
And this is already giving me epic vibes because knowing Alter Bridge with Marshall and obviously Tremonti and Phillips behind their respective instruments, and obviously with Miles Kennedy's guitar playing too, their epics have always delivered, from Fortress to Fable of the Silent Sun and Pawns and Kings and Blackbird. And I mean, they have so many epics, or Cry of Achilles. I mean, they have so many songs. When I'm reading a track listing of an album and there's a 6-minute song or a 5.5 or even a 7+ minute song, those are the ones I look for because those are going to really be the ones that show a lot of music integrity and a lot of intricacy of playing and knowing their epics. They're this Sleep the Masters is going to be one of those songs that's going to take you on a ride. That's probably just from the title of it. It's probably going to start off, for what I've gathered, with their epics before. It's going to start off melodic, and then it's going to build and build and build and build. I mean, it's just like, I love what Mark, what Brian, what Scott, and what Miles do with this band because, and considering that Tremonti, that Phillips, and Marshall are obviously right now, as we speak, outdoing their main business, and that's Creed, selling out arenas and stadiums from all over North America. It is crazy that they found, this time to go into the studio and knock out these songs because they must have had this stuff pretty much, tight-lipped, because, not really, I mean, we kind of had an idea that there was a new record, maybe possibly coming out, but we just didn't know when. And the fact that they found time to go into Elvis's studio in 5150 up there in California, who's been their long producer for the longest time, with him at the helm again. And for what I've heard with the teaser, the production sounds right there with Pawns and Kings. Like, it sounds really good, already just from the way the riff comes in. Don't know what song it is yet, but there's probably going to be a single from this album going to be released probably within, I would say, probably the next couple of weeks or so. And speaking of the music, and I said it on the show, talking about this whole music stuff, it wouldn't surprise me if Daltrey announces the second part to Shock to the System down the line, because of these singles that have came out over the last several months. Those are probably going to become the new second half of this two-part trilogy, or this two-part sequence, or sequels, if you will, because part one came out last year, and then part two will be coming out soon. And obviously those two parts will make up essentially a whole new album.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. And another thing too I want to bring up too is Hellstorm is killing it with these new releases, man. I mean, Rain Your Blood on Me, that song kicks ass. And they've done a great job with these singles releases from this new album.
I still gotta listen to it, so I don't have an opinion on it right now, but I'll definitely check it out.
Absolutely. And I think that is pretty much it, because for a second straight week, it has been pretty quiet when it comes to the world of sports. That's why we had to sprinkle in the wrestling talk and the little bit of the music talk, because that way it gives us at least content, but that'll all change once the NFL stuff rolls around next month.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I'll give my final thoughts. Great show, you guys say. Glad I could come on for most of the show. Just overall, good to be back on after a couple weeks off due to some health issues and family stuff. But it's always good to be on here and talk to you guys about sports. Glad we got to get into a little bit of that. Obviously, it's been quiet, like you said. Got to a little bit of wrestling talk, music talk. So we had all the bases covered tonight. Definitely enjoyed it. Thank you guys, everybody watching out there as always. I should be back in the host chair next week, barring anything family wise or health wise. So keep an eye on social media, and we will let you know. And until then, I will see you guys next week. Joey, if you're still there, final thoughts.
Oh, I guess he is not there.
I think he was tired. I think he might have fell asleep.
Maybe. Well, at least it's not the NFL draft. Oh, just saying. Anyways, great show with you guys. Had a great time tonight, talking a little bit of everything, wrestling, sports, music, all that good stuff. We will be back next week again talking about the world of sports, and maybe things next week will pick up, but I know it's going to be picking up in a couple of weeks because, as mentioned, August the 5th is when we get the NFL coverage up and going, and cannot wait for that. And looking forward to that getting underway at the beginning of August. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week and upcoming weekend. And you can follow us on Twitter at Owen_Sports Show, Facebook.com/The Nation Sports Show, where we are live on most Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific on the West Coast at YouTube.com/The Nation Sports Show. And also don't forget to follow The Nation's Corner on Twitter, Instagram, and the YouTube, all at, well, Twitter's at Nation's Corner, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are all at The Nation's Corner, and the guys and gal are live on most Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific on the West. And I'm pretty sure this week they will get into all things All In, Evolution, Great American Bash, and everything in between when it comes to the world of wrestling. And also, real quick, shout outs to Braun Breaker last night, man. Dude busted his ass in that gauntlet match. Had a great performance in that gauntlet match. CM Punk obviously won in the end and will take on Gunther for the world title at SummerSlam. And yes, the OTC, Roman Reigns, is back. And what a pop by Birmingham, Alabama last night. The same type of pop that they gave The Rock last year on February the 2nd. And looking forward to seeing what happens as SummerSlam continues to inch closer and closer. And also, real quick, cannot go off the broadcast without mentioning this. This is going to be a banger. Natalia versus Masha Slamovich at Bloodsport. Going to be insane. It's going to be awesome. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And like I said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And hope you have a great up and coming weekend with family and friends. And we will see you back here once again on the same YouTube channel for our Nation Sports Show. And maybe next week we'll have Kevin back since Spectrum wanted to be a bunch of assholes today and not fix his damn internet. And wish he would have been on today because I know he probably had some thoughts about J-Dub getting signed and Booker getting signed, and there's all these contracts going around in the NFL and the NBA and stuff like that. But with that being said, we are done for the night. For those tuning in right now live, thank you very much. And for those that watch on demand, thank you very much as well. And also, shout out to our boy Elder, Mongrovian Mike. Hope you are having a blast up there across the pond, if you will, up there in London. And he's going to be having a great time as his favorite metal band, Men of War, is going to be playing in London this weekend. And how ironic, Elder leaves the Long Island and Long Island, New York, when TNA is coming to his city and is going to London to enjoy and rock out like nobody else can, because as Ezra and I both know, when Elder gets in the zone, there is nothing stopping his metal greatness because he gets into it, especially when it comes to Iron Maiden and Man of War and all of things heavy. So, Elder, hoping having a damn good time out there with your boy, and looking forward to hearing some good stories up there from across the pond in the United Kingdom. And with that being said, this show is a wrap. And with that being said, for Ezra Vickery, for JT, Joey Thornton, for our boy K-Rock, Kevin Rory, and for us, our other brother across the West Coast, HJM, don't fuck with him, especially with his money, because if you do mess with him and his money, he'll beat your ass. And that's not a prediction. Like Paul Heyman says, that, my friends, is a spoiler. Follow Hijacker Mike on his social media accounts at Mr. Mac on Twitter. Also, if you are a cigar aficionado, smoke in the Bay, THA Bay. You can also follow me on Twitter at Steven_Wyand, Ezra at Deadman469 on Twitter, Joey at Roll_Tide1992, and Kevin is at That Niner Gang 10 on Twitter. And we are done for the night. Have a great rest of your week and upcoming weekend. Peace.